This past week, NIO went up by over 10%, which is a sign that might be showing or indicating that a bearish trend might be finally over for this NIO stock. With so many good things that we've read about this stock, I don't think anyone can be surprised by the fact that this stock went up by over 10% this past week. So knowing all these good things about this stock, or knowing the latest big developments about these stocks, encourage us or motivate us not to panic and sell this stock. Even if some of the big investors are saying things like you ought to sell this stock and go and buy a certain EV stock, we tend not to get so easily convinced to do so because we know of the strong fundamentals that this NIO stock has, which encourage us to continue adding more positions in this stock rather than selling this stock. Otherwise, on today's video, guys, I'll be going through with you the 10 reasons why I think you must never sell your NIO stock. So please do watch this video until the end, because I definitely think that these good 10 reasons of why you must not sell the NIO stock will definitely motivate you to probably add more position instead of panicking and selling this stock. Not only that, but they will also help you stay long into this video, especially with looking at the fact that some people panic when a certain investor is saying that sell this stock for another stock, and yet they know that this is a stock with a strong fundamentals, or this is a stock, some probably they don't know, which is why I decided to do this video and give you these 10 reasons. So these 10 reasons, I definitely believe that they will motivate you to focus long term onto this stock and not panic when you hear other people or some of the investors saying that sell this stock for a certain stock. Otherwise, with all that, please know that I'm not a professional financial advisor. Everything that I'll be discussing here with you are just my opinions, and if you seek professional financial advice, you already know what to do. You need to go and consult the professionals. Now, reason number one that I think you ought to always have in your mind before thinking of selling this stock is newly renewed partnership of Jack NIO. So we all know that this Jack NIO's partnership is the one that actually does the production of these NIO EV cars. So with this Jack NIO partnership, we all knew that they were able to produce approximately 10,000 EV cars per month, and of course that is what, as I've said, we read in April. And 10,000 multiplied by 12 months, that simply means that NIO, through that initial partnership, they were able to produce approximately 120,000 cars annually. Now, the latest partnership agreement that Jack NIO just finally concluded, it will make Jack NIO to now be able to produce approximately 240 EV cars of NIO annually. And that, my friends, just simply means that the monthly production now, instead of that 10,000, it's now sitting at 20,000 EV cars. Now, this is a very good thing that ought to encourage you to stay long into this NIO stock, because this just simply means that NIO, through this new partnership, they will be able to produce 2 times the cars that they were producing in their initial agreement, which is a very good thing, because this means that now, through this new partnership, NIO will be able to deliver more cars. NIO will be able to even sell more cars, which ought to encourage you to stay long into this video, because guess what? More sales definitely means more revenue into this stock, which is what I definitely think that this partnership, or this new partnership, ought to encourage you to stay long into this EV stock. Now, the second good reason which I think that ought to encourage you to stay long into this stock is none other than the new plant that NIO is constructing in Hefei. This new plant that NIO is constructing in Hefei, or this new NIO factory that NIO is constructing in Hefei, will be able to deliver or to produce approximately 1 million EV NIO cars in 1 year or annually. This is another thing, guys, that ought to encourage you to stay long into this video, into this stock, because imagine if NIO is able to produce 1 million EV cars in 1 year. And this is one of the reasons that is making so many investors to stay into this NIO stock, because they know that after this new plant or this new factory is built in Hefei, this is going to change this stock completely, because they will be able to produce so many cars that will make them even dominate more and more countries, which ought to encourage you to stay long, because as I've said, this is what will definitely take NIO to the next level, because with more cars being produced, it definitely means that more cars will be sold. Guess what that results in? It results in NIO generating tons and tons of revenue. So this is the second reason that I think it ought to encourage you to stay long onto the NIO stock. Now, the third reason that I definitely think that ought to encourage you to stay long into your NIO stock is their second generation substation. Now, with the second generation substation, you will remember that this second generation substation is able to complete 312 swaps a day, which is something that is truly amazing. This second generation substations, we read that it's 3 times more efficient than the previous generation. So this is a substation that so many people are liking, as it is able to complete 312 battery swaps a day. So this second generation substation is the one that is also encouraging so many people to stay long into this NIO stock, as guys, it's able to even complete the battery swaps in less than 4 minutes. So this, my friends, it's what is encouraging big investors into also coming to invest in this stock, because it's like going to this substation and to change your battery or to do your battery swap takes you the same time that you would go to a petrol gas station to get your car filled with gas. So this is another thing that should encourage you to stay long into this stock, because guys, this is going to be a game changer for this NIO stock. Now, the fourth reason that I think ought to encourage you to stay long into this NIO stock, it's none other than their earnings and delivery results. Now, you'll remember that for the delivery, NIO keeps on updating us on a month to month as to how many cars they delivered for that specific month, which is something that if you are to go and check those monthly deliveries, you will definitely see that on average, NIO is doing so well when it comes to the deliveries. I mean, we cannot forget that the NIO stock for the Q1 of 2021, they delivered 20,060 cars, which was better when comparing that figure to the deliveries they delivered in the Q4 of 2020, and which is something that ought to encourage you, because with NIO, you will notice that the deliveries that NIO had delivered in the Q3 of 2020 were better than the deliveries they delivered in the Q2 of 2020, and the ones in the Q4 of 2020 were better than the deliveries they delivered in the Q3 of 2020, and finally the deliveries that they just recently reported in the Q1 of 2021 were better than those deliveries in the Q4 of 2020, which is something that I definitely think that ought to encourage you to stay long into this NIO stock. And you'll remember that even same as the revenues, or that goes hand in hand with the revenues that they delivered in the Q3 of 2020 were better than those they delivered in the Q2 of 2020. And even with the Q1 of 2021, the revenue that they reported for the Q1 of 2021 were better than that they had reported in the Q4 of 2020. So this is something that you can definitely see that NIO is currently on an uptrend with these deliveries and earnings results. This ought to encourage you to stay long into this stock, because this definitely means that this stock continues to do better and better. This stock continues to report better results than the results that they reported in the previous quarters, which ought to encourage you to stay long into this stock. Otherwise, reason number 5, which is one of my favorite reasons that encourages me to stay long into this stock, is the major partnership of NIO and the fossil giant Sinopec. So I definitely think that this is one of the big partnerships that made so many NIO investors to be excited. I mean, you remember that on this deal, NIO will be deploying their swap stations into Sinopec's fuel gas stations. You will remember that in China, this Sinopec is one of the fuel giant with so many gas stations around China. So this partnership entails NIO deploying, as I've said, their swap stations into Sinopec's gas station. So this is one of the good deals that I definitely think that NIO got themselves into, because you remember that, as I've always said, this will just simply mean that it will be more convenient for you to own a NIO car than any other EV car in China, because you will be able to do your battery swaps at almost any gas station. And you remember that with this deal, by 2025, NIO will be having over 5,000 swap stations into these gas stations of Sinopec, which ought to encourage you to stay long into this stock, because like I just said now, this is one of the things, or this is one of the partnerships that will make it possible for NIO to be convenient almost everywhere in China. Which brings me to reason number 6, and that is NIO will be dominating China, or NIO is slowly dominating China. So with that in mind, think of the deal with Sinopec by 2025 and connect that reason with this one. You will definitely see that there is a serious potential that NIO will be or can be dominating the EV sector in China. I mean, and you'll remember that for the month of April, NIO dominated the EV SUV electric market in China when it comes to the EV sales, which must also open up your mind to see that this is a company heading in the good direction, and which is why I definitely think that slowly but surely this stock is going to dominate China, and which is why I think it ought to encourage you to stay long into this stock. I mean, with the Sinopec deal, that partnership, I definitely think that it's going to make it very possible for NIO to dominate China. Otherwise, going to reason number 7, which I definitely think that ought to encourage you to stay long into this stock, is the NIO launch in Norway, which is coming this September. Now, this launch, we all know that, guys, NIO will be launching. It will be their very first destination in Europe, where NIO will be launching to start selling their EV cars there. So this is one thing that ought to encourage you to stay long into this stock, because now NIO just started penetrating the Europe EV market as well, which is something that ought to encourage you, like I said. And you'll remember that for this NIO Norway launch, NIO is set to start selling their ES8 by September when they launch this thing, and the second model that they are planning to take there is the ET7, which they indicated that they will take it in 2022. So this, again, guys, it's something that ought to encourage you to stay long into the NIO stock, because, guys, this is what so many people have been waiting for. This is one of the things that so many people were asking themselves as to whether the NIO stock will go outside of China and start selling their EV cars, which is we are going to see this finally happening in September, or from September in Norway. Otherwise, reason number 8, which I definitely think that ought to encourage you to stay long into this stock, is the fact that NIO, guys, is backed by the Chinese government. So many people might be asking, or some of you might be asking, as to why am I trying to say by that? Like, NIO gets subsidies in China. I mean, all the Chinese EV companies are getting subsidies from the Chinese government. So this is another thing that I definitely think that ought to encourage you to stay long, because NIO, it's also getting these subsidies. So people, they get subsidies when they are buying these NIO EV cars, which is something that ought to encourage you to stay long into this stock, because, as I've said, or this just indicates, and it also backs that point that I just indicated. I think it was point number 6 of saying that NIO will dominate China. This is another reason that I think that NIO will dominate China, because of these subsidies that they are getting. Otherwise, reason number 9 is the fact that the chip shortage issue is set to come to an end very soon. Now, with this one, you will notice that this is one of the big issues that have been affecting not only NIO but the entire EV market. The chip shortage is one of the issues that have even made some of the EV cars not to deliver as many cars as they thought they would because of this chip shortage. But the good thing about NIO, that, guys, they indicated that this issue that has been affecting their production, even their deliveries and sales. It is set to come to an end by June, July. So they indicated that by June, July, this problem or this issue will go away and they will start to deliver more EV cars, which is something that ought to encourage you, because guys, this once again just definitely means that NIO will be able to deliver more cars and will be able to generate more revenue because of the fact that the chip shortage issue will be resolved. And you remember that this is one of the issues which were dragging the NIO stock price down, and with all this chip shortage problem gone now, we will get the NIO stock price back to where it was trading at. So this again, it's another reason that ought to encourage you to stay long, because as I've said, with this issue going, or with this issue expected to go by June, July, that definitely should assure you that even the stock price of NIO will definitely go higher. Otherwise, the last reason which is reason number 10, which I think that it ought to encourage you to stay long into this NIO stock, is the ET7, or is the upcoming ET7. You will remember that NIO in the January of this year, they launched their very first sedan called the ET7. Now this ET7 is one of the cars that have been in the headlines ever since, and it's something that so many NIO investors are really liking. This is one of the cars that NIO indicated that their pre-sales are way over the moon when comparing them to the other EV cars. This just simply means that this car will do better than other EV cars. Otherwise, guys, with all that, I definitely think that all these 10 reasons ought to encourage you to stay long into this NIO stock, and they are the ones that even should make you not to panic when even some investors are saying that sell this stock, because I can definitely assure you that this NIO stock is set to do very well. Otherwise, guys, with all that, I make tons and tons of stock market investing videos, and if you think that this video was beneficial, please don't forget to hit that like button, and if you are new, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click on the notification bell so that YouTube can notify you every time I release a video. Otherwise, that's all from me, and I wish you nothing but the best in your stock market investing journey, and God bless you all.